Now we come to Inga Härmälä. Ms. Härmälä is an environmentalist, an activist environmentalist from Finland. After completing a bachelor's degree in geography, she lived in Egypt for a year to develop her Arabic language and to study Islam. She holds a master's degree in human ecology from Lund University, where she got interested in and started to research the field of Islamic ecology. She has worked as an environmental focal point and desk officer for Islamic Relief in Sweden. Many thanks, Inga, for coming.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon everyone. I hope you have been enjoying your day so far. It has been really interesting for me. I'm really impressed by all the great speeches I've heard today. I want to start off my presentation by remembering a hero. And I'm sure many of you know this person. And this person has inspired millions all over the world. And 1 week ago on Friday, this hero helped mobilize over 2,000 demonstrations in 125 countries across the world. And so this hero is wait, I don't have the presentation. Yes, here. This hero is Greta Thunberg, which was already mentioned. So she has this motto that it's a very common motto, but it always seems impossible until it has been done. Like, who would think that this girl, she was 16 years old when she started this movement, or she was 15 when she started, now she's 16. The only thing, like, she doesn't have a degree in science or any other thing. She doesn't have powerful allies, but what she has is integrity and courage, a conviction that no one is too small to make a change, and a clear vision that climate change is something we need to deal with right now. And what she said, also quoting her speech to the UN, she said, "We're facing an existential threat, and there is no time to continue down this road of madness." And then she says, "Why should I be studying for a future that soon may be no more, when no one is doing anything to save that future? And what is the point of learning facts when the most important facts clearly mean nothing to our society?" Today, she continues, "Today we use 100 million barrels of oil every single day. There are no politics to change that. There are no rules to keep that oil in the ground." God is also talking to us in the Quran, and he mentions, "Indeed, God will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves." This is in Surah 13, verse 11. And this is something we really need to reflect on deeply. What Greta is doing is she's pointing out this to us, that we haven't changed what is in ourselves. Frankly speaking, deep in our hearts, we are every day with our actions to continue in this system, we are not showing enough compassion for other human beings, but following our desires. We like our comfort, we like flying, we like driving our cars, we like earning more money, we like shopping, and we like living this unsustainable lifestyle for as long as it serves us. Will it serve us in the hereafter? This is not something many are asking. Frankly speaking, most of us are not doing enough, and we are heading very fast towards a climatic collapse. We are doing some efforts. We have heard about the efforts today. Yeah, we have some declarations, we have some agreements, very few that are actually binding enough, strong enough to make a big change. Everything we do is too small, too weak, too little, too late, and to cover this. And personally, I'm part of this hypocritical movement. I came to this conference today with an airplane, and that's not what we should be doing right now. And I recognize this. I'm a hypocrite. But on the other hand, I could argue, well, you know, the politicians are not doing their part. There was no train connections here. Well, I could also see that I need to start with myself. But then I want to still speak about hope, because what I see is that people who have hope, they are the ones who make a change in the world. People like Greta. So what I see is that in the Muslim community, there's some heroes like Greta, and I have found them. And that is what I did my research about. These are people who have a proactive mindset, and they are ready to sacrifice their own comfort for the benefit of others and future generations. And the things that they have been doing is things like we heard now, like they learn how to farm sustainably. We have been degrading like the land all over the earth. We need to move to sustainable farming. And they are ready to recreate all our societies from scratch. It's a big job, but they have faith, and this is something inspiring for me. So I wanted to know which part of their Islamic beliefs and what Islamic practices has been encouraging them to change their lives in this radical way to create new societies. And what made them able to follow their ideology, whereas I have been weak on this spot. And what I call this type of activism is like an Transformative Islamic Ecology. Oh yeah, there was that verse. And I want to make a distinction here. I think all environmental activism is very important. We need all the effort. We need the recycling. We need the small efforts of installing solar panels on mosques. But what we also need is, and more critically need, is seeing the system change from scratch. So here I have made a distinction between what weak Islamic environmentalism is and what this transformative Islamic ecology could be. So the theological approach in the weak Islamic environmentalism is a traditional literalist theology, but it lacks some of the knowledge which is needed to have an updated worldview. So we need a knowledge of modern scientific ecology. And this, in transformative Islamic ecology, we have more an eclectic, contextual, and contemporary theological approach. And then we have some examples of activism that I already mentioned: picking up trash, wasting less water. It's all good, but it's not enough. In the transformative Islamic ecology, I count such thing as creating new economies based on like what do you call it? That where you don't have riba. What do you call that? Interest, yeah. Interest-free economies and sustainable agriculture, eco-villages, and permaculture. Many of the people I interviewed were working with permaculture, so that's a big part of the study. So I will skip some of the, methodological and theoretical approaches and go to the results. So I did interviews with some of these individuals who are doing very interesting things for the environment and for their societies, mostly within agroecology and permaculture and sustainable agriculture of different types. And I came to three main dimensions of Islam, which are inspiring and supporting their activism. So in the first dimension, we have spirituality and contemplation. And this is the most kind of personal aspect of it, because actually love and care for something is what inspires action. So the interviewees were talking a lot about how when they spend time in nature and when they farm, that is when they develop the love for the nature which they need for their activism. And there was also a lot of talk about the ayat of the nature. So like there's the signs in nature which is mentioned in the Quran, and those signs we should read them with as much as respect and love as we read the Quran. And yeah, also some of my interviewees were mentioning how in the Quran they're talking about the like nature as agents, like the different parts of nature, and have like they have a will of their own, and they worship God just like us. And these characteristics of nature are also something we forget in our like nowadays in the capitalistic society. And by bringing out these verses, we can remember to respect nature in a different way. The second dimension is about reasoning, aql, and knowledge. And in one of the most important knowledge aspects, which I think lack from the Islamic environmental movement, is the knowledge of modern scientific ecology. It's not enough. Most of the activism in the environmental scene in the Muslim world is focusing on mundane things which will not cause a big change. It will help us feel good about ourselves, but it will not help us in reality. We also, in this knowledge aspect, my interviewees were mentioning that like khilafa, that we have been given a responsibility to care for the earth, that this actually doesn't mean that we should see ourselves as having power over the earth, but it's a command for us to accept learning and accepting change. And also then we talked about akhir zaman, like the end of time, and how this inspires us to, like the knowledge about end of time, and this also should inspire some action. And the third dimension, it's about staging the change, establishing new systems, establishing sustainable agriculture from scratch, establishing eco-villages. And then we discussed the different, suggestions for action to develop all these three dimensions. Taking people out into nature, gardening, making people work in agriculture physically in order to bond. Also involving more Islamic scholars and imams together with the real climate scientists and environmentalists to have them updated on the issues. Teaching, establishing Muslim eco-villages, urban farming. Yep. I don't have time to go through them. I have my last thing to say. We know that climate change is caused by humans. And we know that climate change destroys livelihoods and it kills people. And we all have this blood on our hands. We need to find a way to get out of it. And we can choose if we want to be part of the positive change, or if we want to be part of the change that is just receiving the collapse of a society. We can't wait for fatwas. I think everyone needs to start with themselves. And the short summary of my results is like, love the environment, learn from the best, and go on to do what needs to be done right now. And I will follow this advice myself, and I hope to stop being part of the hypocrites. Thank you so much.